Hi friends, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you just got here. Today we'll be doing this set. Starting off, I did want to show some of my prep. I hate just taking it out completely, so I have already pushed back the cuticles and now I am going in with a fine sanding band. I'm going to take that right around the cuticle area with minimal pressure, and I believe I was at like a 4,000 or 5,000 RPM. You don't want any pressure at all. You kind of just want the bit to do the work for you and remove any of the dead cuticle skin that is still attached to the nail plate, as well as remove any of that shine, so that way we have a good etched surface for our gel to actually stick to. Next, we'll go ahead and go in with our swipe solution, which is 50% alcohol and 50% acetone, just to remove the debris and help to hydrate. I do use the Nail Couture gel system, so this is their primer and dehydrator set. First, you go in with the dehydrator, which is what I'm doing here, and then finally the primer. And you don't want to put too much of their primer. I prefer to use 2 coats if I'm using the Young Nail Protein Bond, but this one you only need 1. I'm also going to go ahead and use their soft gel tips in the XXL stiletto size, and I will size those off camera. But we'll be taking his clear 123 gel and then his base coat. I always use a base coat when using this system. Gel does stick to gel, so I'll just do it a little bit faster here. I'm sorry about the camera kind of moving. I did bump into the table. But I'm also going to show you a technique that I do, which is this scrubbing. When you scrub the product into your nail plate, you're not only getting it on the actual surface, but you're getting it into all those little tiny grooves that you made when you used your either file or your e-file. So here, once we've cured, these are the tips. As you can tell, they are pre-etched, which I absolutely love. It is super helpful. If you're going to be using a Prey or Kiara Sky, I believe both of those you do have to etch. I'm also going to be using just this little handy dandy lamp. I just had it in my last Amazon haul. And the press-on glue that I'll be using again is the clear. It's going to have the blue top. It's my favorite. It also comes in pink, but I will work from my pinky nail over to my thumb. That's just the way that I find easiest. Now, when putting on gel, I don't do it the traditional way. I do lay my brush flat. I do still put the excess that's on the actual brush on the cuticle area. And I apologize if this is a little bit far, but I will show 2 additional nails going on so you can see what I'm doing a little bit better. Essentially, you're just going to squeeze out the air bubbles, holding the nail first at a 45-degree angle, and then slowly dispersing that gel across the natural nail plate. Once you've flash cured for about 10 seconds, you can let go of the nail like I did here. And then I just flip it to make sure everything looks good. Although I noticed this one was a little bit crooked, but we can fix that. So here we go again on how I do it. So I lay the brush flat, and then I will go back in and scrub like you've seen, just to make sure that there are no additional air bubbles. And using the lamp just a little bit closer so hopefully you can see the process, I apply it right at the cuticle and then slowly squeeze and disperse that gel towards the end. You don't want to do it super fast because it can lift from the cuticle side, but just nice and slow and firm pressure, and rotate the nail if you're using one of these kind of lamps, just to make sure that it's curing all around. I have messed up when I first tried, and it didn't quite cure like on one of the sides. So of course, make sure that you're rotating. That's really, really important. And here's one last nail, so I'll go to be quiet just so you can kind of watch it, but it's the same steps that we just did. So once you're done flash curing, I did do a full 60-second cure here to make sure everything is all set. And then when it comes out, this is what they look like. They are ready to go. This shape here to me is a little more of like the long almond. So I'm going to take it in and just taper a little bit. I struggle so much with trying to show you guys, especially on my non-dominant hand, how I get my shape. So if you have any tips on like filming this part and not looking completely crazy, I'm super open to that. I'm just going to show a couple of nails here because I don't want to bore you. It's the same thing on each one. I do just do the side walls of all 5 nails just to make sure that those are coming down to like a sharper point. And this is what they look like once that's completely done. I did go ahead and remove the surface shine on the nail as well to prep for the design. And we're going to take these red, white, and blue little dried flowers from Amazon along with that gel that I just sewed. And then this top coat underneath, this is called their Dom top coat. It's also from Nail Couture. It is really, really thick. It's almost like tempered, and I will show you how I use that. But first, taking that same kind of extend gel or his press-on gel, I'm going to use that and coat the underside of my thumb. I like to make sure that I'm super thorough with this because this is what's going to adhere anything that you want to look as if it's encapsulated inside the nail. So if you're really nice and slow and precise with this step, it will ensure that there's no bubbles underneath. And then going in with the flowers, you're always going to put the colored side down. So that way when you flip the nail over, the bright color is what you're going to see like when you top coat. So just kind of haphazardly placing those anywhere. You can always turn it around like I did to make sure there's no bubbles and you like how it looks. And you'll continue this down the entire length of the free edge nail or anywhere that you want it to look encapsulated. And then you'll see here, I'm constantly putting my nail right side up so I can see how it looks to make sure that I'm placing them where they're kind of like close, but not necessarily overlapping a lot. And then I am going to cure with that same little lamp. I tried to show you how I do it, but you want to make sure that you are curing the underside and the top, especially if it's clear still, to make sure again that there's no bubbles and that everything is fully adhered to the bottom of the nail. And then this is how that will look once it's completely done. Next, we're going to go ahead and take that really thick top coat and make sure that we are covering up all the work that we did. This is going to be doing 2 different things. One, it's going to give you a smooth surface underneath, which I don't know about you, but I don't like feeling stuff under my nails. So that's the biggest plus. But 2, it's also kind of making a seal or creating a seal so that way nothing is going to get in between those flowers. Like if you're eating or if you work a lot outside, nothing is going to get in between the flowers and make it look just not very pretty. So we'll go ahead and cure that right on the underside the same way we did when we first did them. And this is how that will look. It's really, really pretty once you turn it over. Of course, it's still matte because we haven't done anything else, but that's how that will come out. I am going to use this iridescent pink. There is like a blue and green sparkle to it, which you can't tell much right here, but it's really pretty, and I think that it will tie in pretty good with the actual look itself and the flowers, especially given that there's those blue ones in there. So this is how I do my ombre technique, especially if it's on myself. For a client, I definitely use like a sponge to blend out the ombre line or even an ombre brush. But on myself, I just clean up around and then I take my thumb and I tap it so it's diffusing that color around. And that's how that will look before we get it cured. And it's just already looking really, really pretty. Okay, so when it comes out, this is what that looks like. I haven't top coated it, but you'll see that milky pink, and I think it has like a blue or green iridescent that I think is gonna tie in really nice with the red, white, and blue on the rest of the sets. So let's go ahead and top coat so we can see what it looks like final. Top coat I'm gonna use is my favorite. It's by Koopa. This is the shiny top coat. I know angles are continuously moving, but it's because I am learning how to film. So let me go to scoop back here. And this top coat is just really, really shiny. It looks like it's wet almost. think it's absolutely beautiful. But that's what that would look like. I think that's gorgeous. So let's go ahead and get her cured. Next, I went in with that same like iridescent pink, and I put that on the pointer and the ring finger because that's where I'm going to do my Frenchies. So first going in with this Macart red. It's not like the traditional bright red. It is a little bit deeper, but I thought that that would kind of look a little bit better with the red flowers that were inside of the thumbnail. And you can get super precise and use a liner brush here, but honestly I just use the brush with the minimal amount of product just to kind of get the shape down, and then I don't mind going in with a second or third coat to make the color brighter. But that's what that is going to look like, and of course I'm going to put more, but I'll go back in after this coat to show how that looks. Watching this back, I don't know why I was shaking so much. I'm assuming it's because I was drinking coffee, but I'm also going to go ahead and do the other Frenchie nail at the same time just to kind of save a little bit of time. So that's how the red looks, but I'm going to take a white shade from Macart as well. They came in the same kit, and I'm going to use that for the ring finger. I just put only a little bit of product onto the brush, and then I will actually use the brush itself to make my design, and then I'll just go in and coat it for like a second or third time. So yeah, for me it's a little bit easier, especially with my non-dominant hand. It's really hard to use those liner brushes. So for now, this is the easiest way that I have found, but if you have any tips or tricks on how you work with your non-dominant hand, I am super open to learning, and I would really like to get better at it, especially because you see right there it was pretty messy. But we'll go ahead and speed up here so you don't have to get bored. Okay, so next I'm going to take this little Macart like brush and picker from a polygel set that I just got. I'll be doing a review of that, but for now I'll be taking a little bit of alcohol and then going around where I just did the design just to kind of clean up anywhere that got too messy or where the color like got onto my skin. Once that came out, I'm going to go ahead and use my Nail Couture Diamond Gel along with these rhinestones and the DIY gel. These ones are like the AB crystals, so I think they're going to look really nice where the Frenchies are, just because it looks a little plain the way it is. So as you'll see here, I was just going to put one rhinestone like on the end of the Frenchie. Absolutely hated that and ended up switching it. So first you will take your diamond gel. This is a 2-in-1, so it is also your top coat, so you don't have to go in afterwards. And this is just the way that I do it, but you can totally use this by itself, like standalone as a rhinestone adhesive, as long as you put like a thick enough amount. I believe that's how it's marketed, is to be used, like it says, as a diamond gel, so you can put like a little bit and be precise with the applicator. I haven't had any problems with my rhinestones like coming off with me or clients when I changed over to this method that I'm showing. So I definitely wanted to show you how I do it, because my rhinestones will last me or my clients until I take the set off. Like I don't think I've lost one. But now that that's on, you're going to take the DIY gel. Again, this is if you're doing it this way, and you'll see first I put it here, and I went ahead and just put like a decent amount, something that I thought would hold that size 7 rhinestone, and then I'll kind of speed through, but I end up changing, and I'll show you in the video where I actually place the rhinestones.
It took a lot of hard shit just to learn how not to break down and stop it. No matter what I've seen in the past, I want that impact. I'll be grown now, baby. I can't let it slip away, drift away, can go to waste, I say it straight to your face, won't contemplate. way. You got to play that, babe. I don't wanna wait another minute for you. I know you got me falling from the ceiling for you. Knew it from the start there was no limit to you. And I'm catching feelings, baby. Then drop them drawers. I know what you want. I ask myself, is this shit real? I contemplate about how I feel. But you make it way too hard to think that this could be what you love. It took a lot of hard shit just to learn how not to break down and stop, baby. No matter what I've seen in the past, I won't let it impact.
Okay, so now that they're finally cured, that's what that looks like. We're going to go ahead and move on to our sugared nail, which is going to be this blue from McCart. And we are going to do that with a like bluish green sparkle or glitter that I also got from Amazon. You guys already know the drill if you watched my last video. I always put a piece of paper down just because it gets super messy. And especially with my non-dominant hand, I don't expect it to be any cleaner. So I'll first take that blue and put that onto the middle finger. This one is just our base coat and we are going to cure it. So it doesn't have to be perfect, but you want it just to cover the nail. So that way if you look from underneath, everything looks nice and clean and polished. You're not missing anywhere. But again, it doesn't have to be perfect because we're not adhering anything to this. This is just for us to get a good base. Okay, so once it comes out, this is what it'll look like. I already opened up the glitter like off camera just because that can get messy. And I just wanted everything to be set up for this next shot. So this is going to be the most important, I would say, step of the sugar nail. You don't want it to be really, really thick. If it's thick, it's not going to cure properly. So you want just a thin coat. But this one, you want to think of it as your glue since it's going to be what your glitter is actually sticking to. So you do have to be a little bit more precise. You don't want to like not hit the sides because then of course the glitter is not going to stick to there. You want to get as close to the cuticle as possible because you're not going to put 2 coats of glitter. So just make sure you're very careful with this one. So as you can see, I kind of put it up a little bit in the light just to make sure I didn't miss anywhere. And then taking our little cuticle pusher, I am using the scoop side or like the flatter side of it. And I am going to just little by little add the sugar. I don't recommend like just grabbing the container and dumping it just because you don't need that much. And you have a lot more control when you actually use something small. I know they sell like little scoops too, but those come with dip kits and I don't do dip. Maybe in the future I will. So for now, I just use this. If you see right there, I kind of tapped and that will get any excess off so I can see where I'm missing so I know where to go in. But just be really careful, super mindful of like where you're putting the glitter. And if you are not sure if you put it in some space, I mean, I would just put it again. So we'll tap that off. You don't want to use anything to wipe yet because you're still technically dealing with the wet gel underneath, but that looks really nice. We'll go ahead and cure it and I'll show you how everything looks after. Okay, so now that everything is cured, this is what it looks like. I'm going to repeat that thumb onto the pinky nail, but just so you can kind of see how everything looks, I did go ahead and clean up around the cuticle line of the sugared nail, but let's go ahead and get started and jump into our pinky. For whatever reason, my camera was not focusing, but I repeated the same steps from the thumb. So this is what it looks like right now. And then I'm going to go ahead next to do the ombre. Again, taking that iridescent color from the other nails that we did in this set, and we will place that just where we want the ombre to start. And then once we have like a good opaque amount and we like the color of it, I do go in and just use my thumb to kind of tap around and diffuse the color or like where that line is before I get it into the lamp. And this is what it'll look like. Well, there we go, now that it's nice. So it comes out like this. And of course we still have to top coat because it looks matte on the end. But this is where we're at. I'm really happy. I think that it's pretty. Let's go ahead and get that top coat on. We're using the same one, so that's the Koopa like glossy top coat. It is a non-wipe top coat, and it is by far my favorite, but you can use any top coat of choice. And then this is what the encapsulated nail looks like in the daylight. This is the entire set outside in the sun, and I love it. So happy 4th of July, and thanks for watching.